the United States of America is cursed. Of course, I'm just talking about fighting games. EVO is the largest fighting game tournament on the planet, the largest fighting game event, period. And the United States has a big problem. We cannot win in EVO for Street Fighter. Since EVO's inception in 2003, 2002 is a little bit debatable, we have not won a mainline Street Fighter title at EVO. So 2002, we got to give props to Jason Cole doing his thing in Street Fighter 2 Turbo. But even at that time, Street Fighter 3 was already out. So not sure how you want to spin that. You can divide EVO into two eras. There's pre-2009 EVO and there's post-2009 EVO. In the post-2009 EVO world, the United States of America has not been able to close out an EVO championship in the mainline Street Fighter game. However, we've had 4, maybe 5 attempts at bat. But what I wanted to do is break down all of the United States' best efforts to claim an EVO championship and how the Valiant players just fell shy of claiming the title of EVO champion and breaking the USA Evo curse. First at bat, set the stage. It's 2009. Street Fighter 4 has hit the home console market and the fighting game rejuvenation has begun. Here we have Justin Wong doing his best to go up against Daigo Umehara. This is the winner's semi side of the bracket, not grand finals just yet. So at this time, Japan actually had Street Fighter 4 in advance in arcades. They had the release in 2008 and were able to play for almost a full year, I believe, before the home console release version in 2009 came out, where the rest of the world was able to start getting some practice in and catch up with Japan. So Justin Wong here is busting out the Able against Daigo. Justin primarily played Rufus even at this time and throughout the lifespan of Street Fighter 4, but he felt like this was the counterpick to Ryu. And at this time, not too many international players came to EVO. If you're watching EVO and, like the post CPT era, 2015 and beyond, especially starting with Street Fighter 5 in 2016 with the CPT pop bonuses and everything, the amount of international players coming to EVO drastically increased. So 2009, there were definitely, and previously there was always a handful of Japanese representatives, but only like the best of the best showed up. So that would be like the Daigo, the Tokido, Nuki at the time, and a few other Japanese players. But it wasn't like it is now, where to get out of pools, you probably have to play a dude from Europe or China or Japan. So Daigo here is he's in a crowd of Americans. This is the winner's semi side of the bracket, and he's doing his best to shut down Justin Wong's Able. And surprise, in the winner's side of the bracket, he does just that. It comes down to a last gasp situation, but is able to defend successfully, and he takes out Justin Wong, puts him in the loser side of the bracket, which sets up our story for Justin Wong to come back from the loser's side. So loser's side of grand finals, Justin actually went with the Able once again, since he had a fairly close attempt with the first set. But after losing the first game here with Able, he immediately switches to Rog, which I agree is the counterpick to Ryu. Rog has traditionally done pretty good against Ryu, has lots of good anti-fireball tools, and at this point in the match, it's actually 2-2. So Daigo needs to just get this one last hit and he wins EVO 2009. And Justin is here fighting for his tournament life just to stay alive, to get another shot at it. And he manages to make the comeback. Here's the stage, here's the crowd. If you didn't know what it used to be like, this is some grassroots. There's young Art there. I think there's Noel, some other people I recognize, a bunch of the New York people. Oh, there's I don't know if that's Tony or Tom. They're like getting people off the stage. The EVO co-founders had to be their own security back then. They had to get the crowd off. See, the scale of EVO has grown a lot since 2009, and yeah, that was the first set. He manages to reset the bracket and bring Daigo into the loser side with them. Unfortunately for our protagonist here, Justin, Daigo is just a little bit too strong. This is the very last game. It does go down to a 2-2 situation for the last game to win the entire EVO tournament. But Daigo, the fundamentals with Ryu was very strong in vanilla Street Fighter 4 as well. Managed to close it out, and man, that jump was heard around the world. USA was so close. Justin fought so hard to bring it so close to take it over Daigo. But this would be the beginning of the two-peat that Daigo sets up, because spoilers, USA loses again very, very shortly. we're moving on to 2010. We got another American in Grand Finals. This time we have Ricky Ortiz. You know, Ricky and Justin would go on to be teammates on Evil Geniuses, both rocking the Rufus. And this time, Ricky Ortiz is the one who finds herself in the Grand Finals position. And this one was kind of weird because I remember watching this Evo live, and yeah, the stream cut out. This was very hard to watch live, but I managed to dig up the actual footage of it. Seth Killian's on commentary with that. Who's that gamer guy he's commentating with who does not belong there? Yeah, Adam Sessler. Adam Sessler, obviously big in the gaming world as a host, has no idea what he's talking about throughout this entire set, and it's extremely apparent that he does not get the scale of what's going on here. Ricky Ortiz did go to losers via Daigo beating her in winners finals. Winners finals was only a first to two as well. She lost 2-1. So that was kind of weird back then. They did winners and losers finals first to two, which is different than today, which is all top 8 is first to 3. But, you know, traditionally, winners and losers finals were always first to 3 as well. So Ricky fights hard, but this set does not go her way. Daigo is going to close this one out 3-1 very shortly. And once again, you know, we got close. We got close. But this situation is too dire. One last hit, but the perfect fireball trap there from Daigo. You know, the chip damage was impending here. Like, this is pretty much almost checkmate situation, right? No life left. Set up the meaty fireball, chip sequence. Ricky could have neutral jumped and just, you know, killed more time, but basically you're just waiting to lose. You kind of had to make a move. Chip was obviously present in Street Fighter 4 to close out games, unlike Street Fighter 5. So you were in a bad spot there. And once again, Daigo doing what no other player has done in the modern Street Fighter era and claimed 2 EVO championships back to back, with USA getting second both times. Both times. But that said, don't worry. Listen, we were close twice. But maybe third time's the charm. Well, is this the third time? This one is a little contentious, I'll be honest. We're gonna go to 2011, and our protagonist this time is none other than Latif. Latif from Saudi Arabia, or the USA. Going up in here in top 8 on loser side against Mad Catz Tokido. That's a throwback in and of itself, Tokido, right? So this is like loser semis, I believe, against Tokido. Latif takes it, and if you've only known Latif due to his Guilty Gear Strive gameplay in 2022, you might not be able to recognize, but this man who's half the size of present day Latif, this is Latif back in 2011. Latif has put on about 70 million pounds of muscle since this time, so you might not be able to tell. But the reason I say this is contentious is, you know, Latif is from Saudi Arabia. However, he was studying in USA at this time as a college student. You cannot deny it. That is an American flag. There it is, baby. Trust me, the USA chants were out at this time. Latif goes on an absolute tear during this bracket. He goes on to beat Daigo, Punko to go into Grand Finals up against Fudo in some of the most exciting Street Fighter 4 I've ever seen. And I actually got to see Latif over the past EVO weekend, and he said, hey man, they chanted USA when I was in top 8 at EVO for Street Fighter 4. USA has claimed me. You can cheer for me for USA. He gave me the permission in person to claim Latif for USA. So for the purposes of this video, Latif, you're American. If you're going to be American Latif, that means you also have to have the American curse. Latif, you fought hard. You should see the matches of Latif versus Punko and Daigo. I'm not going to go over those in this video. Those are amazing sets. He had a great losers run to go up against Fudo. But once again, the curse applies, and he's not able to close out the tournament. Fudo from Japan takes it. But Latif had a great run. He eliminated Daigo, the 2-time champion up until this point. People thought Daigo was going to go for the 3-peat. And then there goes Fudo. Yeah, you don't see this anymore in the modern EVOs, right? All the Japanese players there supporting him, tossing him in the air with the Japanese flag. Latif had an amazing run, but it just, once again, the USA curse. It just wasn't quite enough to get the job done. That will be the last time USA is at bat for Street Fighter 4. It'll be quite some time until we return to the grand final stage. Europe manages to get a champion with Luffy in 2014, but for the most part, it was kind of Japan taking turns. You know, there was Korea, there was also Singapore as well, but it was not any fortunate runs for the United States competitors. They had good runs in top 8, plenty of representatives who made top 8 a number of times, but no one can get to that grand finals position until the big one. This seemed to be the year where we were primed to crown a USA Evo champion. I'm of course fast forwarding now to 2017 when we had the young alpha Punk the God on an absolute tear. Punk kind of burst onto the scene towards the end of 2016, doing a lot of work, especially in the USA regional finals, where he beat international players and beat a lot of the top American players. And then he started just dominating all of 2017 season leading up until Evo. So at this point, there was 2 best players in the world that were looking to see who would duke it out and claim the title of Evo champion. It was, of course, Punk and Tokido. This is the winner's final set. Or sorry, this is the top 16 set where the winner would get into winner side of top 8. And then this really, really important moment comes up right here. Tokido about to get the stun. Punk fighting to survive the V-trigger. And then there it is, the dash under the neutral jump air fireball. You know, the Akuma air fireball and V-trigger is very impressive, but Punk was very aware of it. Dash under, got the trip guard punish, claimed his spot in winner side of top 8. And honestly, at this moment, things are looking pretty good for Punk. He goes on an absolute tear through the bracket, smoking everybody in top 8, and gets into the winner side of grand finals absolutely free. But something was brewing on the other side. Tokido dismantles loser side of top 8. There was definitely some close matches up against Filipino champ and Itabashi Zangief, but he decimates the competition and he was out for blood. And it showed once we hit grand finals, the first game of the set, this happens.
He has the opportunity to go either direction. Is it going to be a stun?
Very close. He hit a button. He's so genius. The taunt. He did a taunt combo to Punk in grand finals of Evo.
The moment the taunt combo presented itself, the air in the room changed. Now, this is the first Evo I actually attended. I was there in person in the stadium watching this, and we were losing it for Punk the whole time, how dominant he was. But something changed in that moment, and it shows with the rest of the set. So Tokido secures the reset in the first set, I believe 3-1, and he's just playing so confidently and so out of his mind and just establishing control at every moment, and there it is.
He used the medium kick and
Did you remember that top 16 set?
a demon finish here for Tokido. He's up.
Do you remember why it was so important to pay attention to your previous encounters? The way Punk was able to close out the top 16 set was to dash underneath the neutral jump to air fireball option. This time Tokido remembers that from the previous set on the winner side and goes into the air while he has the V trigger active, and rather than doing any air fireball, he simply just allows himself to fall down with a medium kick. Punk does the EX command dash this time, which can go under fireballs, and him predicting that Tokido would do neutral jump air fireball to get frame advantage, but Tokido doesn't do it. He just comes down from the top with a medium kick with the read, saying, I know what you do now, I know what you're about, and goes into the demon to once again position himself, saying, I'm here to win. Psychologically, Tokido is making all of the right plays. The call out to the demon, starting with the taunt combo. The hopes and dreams of the United States were quickly being crushed. Tokido dismantled him, not only in-game, but mentally. It was a textbook example of establishing dominance in and out of the game. And of course, that dominance continued into the final round where Punk wasn't able to resist the tech. The nerves were kicking in, and Tokido takes out the #1 ranked player in the world at the time, Punk, to win Evo. This was definitely the year where we felt that we had not only a shot, but the favorite to win Evo. You know, Tokido was definitely no slouch. He was the second ranked player in the CPT. We were waiting to see the showdown between Punk and Tokido, but we had the favorite. But Tokido, too clutch. And once again, the United States was left without an Evo title for the mainline Street Fighter game. And then things would go dark. After this point, we didn't have any appearances in Grand Finals. And then, of course, COVID happened. We've been online only for quite some time, only having a few invitational events to have any kind of international competition. So we haven't been able to see the best of the best from all over the world compete on a large scale until this past weekend. EVO 2022 was the return to offline EVO, where the world was watching and players from all over the world traveled to the same building to compete in the same title in the same stadium. And this time we had an ace up our sleeves. We had iDom, and iDom was looking poised to win it all. iDom actually won the past 2 majors leading up to this moment. He won Combo Breaker 2022 and then CEO 2022. Now, to give the rest of the world credit, not as many international players showed up to these events as they did in previous years. However, he was just looking so dominant against the competition there, and we had been suffering under iDom so long in the United States that we wanted to see him go up against the rest of the world and see what he could do. Now, unfortunately, iDom went to losers early. He actually loses to Ryan Hart, the European champion, the OG Ryan Hart, one of the greatest of all time in all fighting games, multiple-time EVO champion, but not really as active in the Street Fighter V scene. Ryan Hart beats iDom off stream 2-1 and puts him in losers in top 192. This was definitely a huge upset, 100% a huge upset. And so iDom then goes on a tear in the losers bracket just to fight for the right to be in top 8. He barely gets by against Joey. This match was extremely close as well, down to the last game, last round. Top 48 comes up, and the run begins. iDom has to take out Dankadias, Terrence, JB, Cien, and Angry Bird just to get into top 8. I mean, the amount of sets that he had a marathon run through was ridiculous. All of these were off stream until Angry Bird, where he qualified on stream. It was just a crowd of people surrounded around a setup. The Cien match was extremely close. There's moments where iDom could have easily been eliminated from this tournament, but he fights his way back to get into top 8. And of course, the first match is him against Mr. Crimson. Mr. Crimson, who everyone kind of had as also one of those contenders for best in the world. Many people slated this match as the match that would be Grand Finals for EVO, but here they are both meeting in loser side of top 8. And yeah, it was definitely unexpected. Mr. Crimson won Red Bull Kumite 2021, I believe, in London against iDom in the Grand Finals in a really close set. I believe it was like 5-4, something like that. It was a very close set. He also won against iDom in the run back that had an exhibition set at Street Fighter League. So the last 2 times at bat, Mr. Crimson had won, but iDom just comes out here doing his thing. First match of top 8. And he's just looking too strong. 3-1, iDom takes it over Mr. Crimson. Remember, people said that this could have been Grand Finals. iDom does it in pretty dominant fashion. Moving on in loser's side. Daigo the Beast, a familiar face, huh? Have you guys heard of them? He is back in top 8, this time going up against iDom. And this is by far, to me, the best set, or one of the best sets of the entire tournament. I definitely will be reviewing this set on this channel shortly. But for the purposes of this video, we're just going to watch the highlight reel. It comes down to 2-2 last game, last round. Daigo took an early lead with a 2-1 lead in the set, but iDom fought his way back, making all of the correct reads along the way. And, you know, Daigo, he just wasn't able to keep up with the offensive power of Laura. Final guess here. Of course, final guess, of course, Daigo's going to flash kick. But then he misses the sweep anti-air attempt, and iDom takes it over Daigo. And many people were saying that this would be the hardest matchup that iDom would have to face. Character matchup and player matchup wise, Guile does decent against Laura, and iDom didn't want to play Poison this tournament because it was on PS4. So at this moment, a lot of America was feeling pretty confident in iDom going the distance. But of course, more challengers await. Tokido! You heard of this guy?
About chasing the jump backs.
Now it's Tokido on the loser side of the bracket as well. But if you look at the score, things in this set were going a little bit different than the Daigo set. This set was not a good set. This was a wash. I'm going to be honest. This was a 3-0, blink and you miss it, destruction. Daigo pushed iDom to his limits, and Tokido just was scrambling to catch his footing. iDom at this point was looking unstoppable. 3-0 against Tokido in top 8 of EVO in the stadium with the world watching. He was looking in rare form. Well, I shouldn't say rare. iDom actually always plays like this. Up next, Gachi-kun. Gachi-kun's kind of like the silent killer in the Street Fighter V era. Another fellow Capcom Cup champion, you know, iDom, Capcom Cup champion as well. Gachi-kun is very consistent in these EVO top 8s, and this time he made it to winners finals and lost against Kawano. Going up against iDom, but man, look at what happens here. Look at it.
He might get super. I don't even know if he needs it.
He might get super. No.
Debating about if he's going to build meter for super or not. Meanwhile, Laura's is dumping out damage. 3-1 over Gachi-kun. iDom is doing the thing. That was losers finals. And now we have another attempt at bat. We have another American in grand finals of EVO for Street Fighter. He's going up against Kawano. Kawano has been the Japanese champion since 2021. He's a relatively young player, but was doing extremely well in the 2021 season. Easily the most dominant player online in that region while we're all forced to play at home. This time, we're finally seeing him play international competition after his level up. And of course, he smokes everybody winner side. Does it in dominating fashion, but iDom says, I'm here to play. That was the winner set. I mean, I'm just showing you the final round here, but Kawano won the first game of this set, and then iDom just ran through him 3 games straight to reset. At this moment, it feels like there's zero chance that we're not winning this EVO. iDom is speed running through the best players that Japan has to offer in grand finals, wins 3 games straight, and resets the bracket, leading into the final set of Street Fighter V for EVO top 8. And you know, things are actually going pretty good at this moment too, because you know, the next game coming up, iDom wins this game as well. iDom actually wins the first set of the reset, meaning he wins 4 games straight against Kawano. So what could possibly go wrong for our protagonist here? Well, a lot apparently. A lot. Kawano starts fighting back, and he's not only fighting back, he's kind of thriving. iDom is looking in great position here. Kawano gets the stun though, but iDom is on match point. He just needs 1 more round to win EVO. What could possibly go wrong? Did you see it? This is the moment where iDom lost EVO 2022. iDom lands the anti-air, and his medium punch goes the wrong way. Now, if you're not too familiar with these kind of situations, I'll explain a little bit to you what's going on here. So typically when you anti-air, you often go for a left-right mix-up because it becomes very ambiguous what side you're supposed to land on. So iDom dashes forward to set up the mix-up after the anti-air, and it's supposed to be ambiguous. However, the tracking of the game miscalculated what side iDom was going to be on. He could have potentially have delayed his button a little bit more to ensure that Colleen continued traveling over his head and landed on the other side. So he goes for the medium punch here, which would have been extremely ambiguous, and regardless, if he blocked it, it would let him do a block string into activating V-Trigger 1, which could easily lead into a steamroll situation where he could win with offense. But it just whiffs! It just whiffs. So this is the moment where things start to go downhill. Kawano sees the spaghetti, does the delay tech reflexively here, gets the throw, and that huge moment dissipates. iDom goes for the EX elbow there to get through the pressure for the hail, which seems like a good idea if it does work, But now we're going into the final round, final sets, all on the line for EVO 2022 champion. USA's last chance to claim an EVO title. And you can see the nerves in the gameplay. iDom, who is probably the most consistent player I've ever seen, who is probably the one who shows nerves the least out of any player I've ever seen in Street Fighter, starts to show signs that he understands the weight of the moment. Mistimes the command grab covered by the clap, mistimes the overhead. You can see that he's just kind of misplacing moves here, more so than you would see him throughout the entire rest of the tournament. Tense moment here. Kawano finds an excellent time to press heavy kick, and then iDom attempts the signature wake up 2 frame, gets meatied. Kawano does the combo to build the V meter. The headphones get slammed down, and Kawano wins EVO 2022 over iDom. It seemed like USA's year. Everything was going right for iDom, but in the final game, Kawano clutched it out the opportunity was lost and Kawano held strong and won. So I got to give a big shout out to Kawano. You know, he's definitely a young player and had a huge level up over the past couple years and has proved to be one of the most dominant players in Street Fighter. But iDom here, let's remember, iDom went to losers early in an upset. In terms of games, iDom has 5 games to Kawano's 4. This is the price you pay for going to losers bracket. Head-to-head score count, it's irrelevant here. Kawano was more consistent throughout the bracket and didn't drop a set, so he earned the win. So who's the better between the two? I would love to see these guys go at it again. Hopefully they can meet up at Capcom Cup, or maybe some kind of an exhibition set could go. But man, what a set, and the USA is cursed. Blame the EU. Yeah, this is all Reinhardt's fault, but congrats to Reinhardt as well. And there you have it. Those are all the attempts that USA has had at bat in the modern era of Street Fighter for the EVO Championship title. We still don't got one. EU has 2, Japan, so many others. We got none. Unfortunately, that might be the end of our tale here for Street Fighter V. However, there is EVO Japan coming up. I'm hoping that we somehow smuggle iDom over there, you know, find a way to trick him into getting on the plane so that he flies 20 hours over to Japan and wins one over there. But until that happens, USA kind of has to hold that. But I hope now, after watching this video, you understand why the USA is cursed for EVO in Street Fighter. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. All that stuff really does help out the channel. And as always, I always appreciate the support. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.